Wow, that's quite a view. Wow, that's an amazing view. Wow, look at that view. What is it I'm looking at? Where am I? Wow. Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to take a look at that one thing from my latest trip to Central Europe. We flipped it. The side trip was Vienna, Austria. So join me, Terry Dixon, for an adventure for anyone as I tell you about that amazing side trip to Vienna, Austria, which is only about an hour by train from Bratislava, where we were staying. We got up early in the morning. We headed over to the local train station that still has a lot of its Soviet vibes, I won't lie. And we went to the platforms up above and we boarded our lovely train as we headed on our comfort trip to Vienna. And an hour later, here we were at the main train station in Vienna, where you can make transitions not only, yes, to a shuttle to the airport for €4, but to the subway. And the subway on the Orange Line took us to Stephansplatz, and this is the center of it all in Vienna. Now, as a little side note, see that hotel right there? I stayed there 35 years ago when I was in Vienna for the first time. And things have changed a lot over the last 40 years. We couldn't even have done this trip 40 years ago because Slovakia was Czechoslovakia and it was still in the Soviet bloc. So here we are, Stephansplatz, ground zero for Vienna. As you can see, the market is still going, although nobody admits it online. That is, the carousel and the Christmas market that you normally see in December. They've taken some of the decorations off and it's now just a market, but you won't find it anywhere online. So we were there at the middle of the day. We were listening to the bells chiming in the towers and looking around at all of the little stalls in what's normally a Christmas market. But they've decided to keep it here year-round, obviously, because Vienna, as much as it's beautiful and it's wonderful and it's been around since before the birth of Christ, it has this amazing St. Stephen's Cathedral where they did Mozart's funeral, and they even have one of the most famous pipe organs in the area. But Vienna, it's crowded, folks. Narrow streets, busy streets, lots and lots of tourists. Now you might wonder why. Well, because Vienna is the center. This is where the tourists go and stay. Where we were staying in Bratislava, that's normally the side trip. But here in Vienna, they are set up for tourists. Been set up for them probably all the way back to 1147 when that cathedral went up. Everything here in the center of town is beautiful, but it is also crowded and expensive. Everything here is designed to separate tourists from their money. Be aware of it. Do you want to buy an expensive souvenir? Do you want to buy something at one of the 3 Swarovski stores? Or something, fancy perfume, beautiful jewelry? There's an Audi dealership around there somewhere. You can. But we walked by all of that and we went down to the Hofburg Palace. It's basically right downtown. It's walking distance from Stephansplatz. It comes with this beautiful church that goes with it. This is where the Lipizzaner School is, where they have the horses. Sorry, I don't have any footage of that. I'm allergic to horses, and I opted not to go to the stables. But this is the Hofburg Palace. Austria, just like everybody else, ruled by so many people over the years. I mean, they had Nazis in the house for a while. They were Austro-Hungarian, they were Ottoman, they were Habsburg, and they are now a diplomatic government. So there you go. But you have all of these beautiful museums. The museums quarter here, that was only founded back in 2001. all these beautiful old university buildings and church buildings were turned into museums. You can see the gate over there. You might even get a chance to see part of the changing of the guards going on, even though the palace is not inhabited by royals. So it's all lovely. But it was so crowded downtown that we decided to catch that U-Bahn and go to Der Prater. It's one of my favorite parts of Vienna. It always has been, and it is the local amusement park, baby. There's 250 attractions in this park. There's also a park, and it sits virtually on the riverfront by the Danube River. It's been around since the early 1800s, and here you can see us entering the world-famous giant Ferris wheel. This thing's 180 meters high. It is an amazing wheel to take a trip on. But what's the big deal? Well, the Ferris wheel, like that, was created in Chicago back in the 1800s, but they tore their wheel down, leaving the second Ferris wheel ever built, which is right here, the giant Ferris wheel at Der Prater, being the oldest operating Ferris wheel in the world. So, as any good tourist would, and me with my love of Ferris wheels, we took a ride. And it's an amazing ride. You get up here, you get to see everything going on in the park, all the other rides, and they've got some amazing rides. We're getting older, we didn't ride them all, but you got to ride the Ferris wheel. And you also have this beautiful view out over the city. Vienna is one of the busiest cities in all of Central Europe. It's a huge hub. You've also got the Schönbrunn, which we didn't go to see that day. That's the summer palace. The Hofburg Palace is the winter palace. But we did take the time for this ride on the Ferris wheel. Now, Vienna's got all kinds of ways to get around, especially in the old town. Trams, subways, buses. They've got the ferry that goes over to Bratislava. There's a lot of ways to get around. We took the subway out to Der Prater, and then we took it beyond. At Der Prater, it was still underground, but once we got out to the waterfront to look around, it was an above-ground subway, so it's kind of akin to when you're in New York and you're above ground, then you're below ground, whatever. And before we knew it, that was our day. We were back at the Vienna Hauptbahnhof, and we were headed across that countryside back to Bratislava after a beautiful, adventurous trip around Vienna. Thanks for coming with me.